In this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can start building out an application where you can leverage your UI components in conjunction with your AI assistant to work together seamlessly and allows them to stay perfectly in sync. I'm going to show you how to get started with CopilotKit, and specifically, I'm going to show you their new CrewAI integration. What I'm going to be doing in this video is we're going to start with this recipe creator. And then ultimately, we're going to adapt this for a different use case. And I'm going to walk you through the setup process as well as the different areas on where you can navigate and update to make this application your own. So you'll have an understanding by the end of the video on how the data communicates between one another and ultimately all of the different component pieces on where we're reaching for information, where we're ultimately sending information to a large language model, and how everything stays up to date in sync. Within the UI, there are a few different areas where a user can go and tweak things. They can change things like the drop downs, the different checkboxes, as well as the ingredients and instructions. They can click this Improve AI button. Alternatively, they can directly type in a message within this right-hand panel here. And effectively how our application works is when a user sends in a request, the nice thing with CopilotKit is it allows us to have a shared state between what's happening on the back end of our application as well as what's within the front end. How our application is broken out, we're going to have our Next.js application layer. And within this, we're going to have a simple API route, and that's going to connect to our Python backend architecture. This is going to be where we have a fast API endpoint. And within this, that's going to be how we communicate those messages back and forth from our CrewAI agents, as well as what we ultimately send back as a response to the front end. In terms of the request, we're going to be sending in those details of the form, as well as what we have in the natural language pane. And similarly on the back end, we're going to be streaming back the responses of the text from an LLM if necessary. Alternatively, we're going to be updating the information within the UI state. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do to get started is we're going to go ahead and pull down the repo. Once you've cloned the repository, where we're going to be going within this is within the examples folder. What I just showed you on the outset of the video is within the demo viewer here. The thing that I love about this demo viewer is there are a ton of integrated different features of CopilotKit all built within here. One of my favorite features that they've included within this example is the predictive state updates. This predictive state updates, it's really neat because it's almost like something similar to Cursor. And what I can do within this is I can say something like, I want a title for this blog post. And what this will do is it will analyze what we have within our text panel here, and it will give us suggestions. Within here, as we can see, we have that suggestion for a title, Anthropic Economic Index, Understanding AI's Impact on jobs and the economy. And then you even have the ability to confirm or reject. For instance, if I want to reject that title, I can go ahead and click reject. Alternatively, you can go and accept it and work through documents like that. It's a really neat way on how you can interact with potentially a text document, or if you want to build out something like the cursor for writing, you can do all of that within this same demo and this same repo that I'm about to show you. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up two different terminals side by side. On the left-hand side here, we're going to have our agent architecture. If I just go within our demo viewer and I go within our agent, we're going to be setting up a quick environment variable. And then a similar thing on here is we're just going to go within the examples folder. And then in this case, we're going to go to demo viewer. And then within here, this is going to be where we can go and install all of the dependencies. From there, I'm just going to npm install everything. Now within our agent folder, if we go within demo, we're going to see all of the backend agent architectures for all of the different examples that we saw within the UI there. The shared state example, that's going to be that recipe example that I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to be focused particularly on this example. And what I'm going to show you is how you can take this example and tweak it and make it your own for whatever use case you might have in mind. The one thing that we are going to be leveraging within this example is the OpenAI API, and that's going to be how we communicate and interact with an AI model. So just go ahead and get your API key from OpenAI. We're going to create a .env file, and within here, we're just going to add in our OpenAI API key just like that, and then you can save it out. And then once you've saved out your .env within the agent directory, you just have to make sure that we're going to copy this same environment variable, and then we're going to paste it within the demo viewer directory as well. And then once we have that, I can go and run poetry run server to start our agent architecture. Similar thing on the front end is I'll just start our Next.js application as well. Now we can open up our application, and now we should have what we saw on the outset of the video. We have all of those different examples. And what I love about this example is there is basically all of these different really great use cases on how you can leverage CopilotKit all within one repo. So now if I just test this out, I'm going to say I want to make a steak in 15 minutes with some healthy vegetables. I'll send that in. And just like we saw, now we have this working here. We see it's at high protein. We have all of the ingredients, and then we also have the instructions there. Now that we have it set up, I just want to go through how this works and how you can begin to make this your own. First, what I'm going to do is within our demo directory is I'm going to go within the source directory and I'm going to go down to our configuration. Within our configuration, this is going to be a list of all of those different capabilities that we have in the sidebar. When it loads, it's going to iterate through these and it's going to map all of these out. What I want to do is I want to set the default state of our application to the shared state here. I'm going to go within the page where we have all of these listed out. Within the selected demo ID is I'm just going to set the initial state of our application to be the shared state. Now, if I go back to our application and if I refresh the page, I should always have it on this shared state between agent and UI. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to get rid of our sidebar in its entirety. In this example, I'm just really going to focus on this core example. Since what I'm going to be building is going to be something related to exercise, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to get rid of this style for the background image. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say I want a background that is black, purple, and blue. I'll go ahead and I'll save that out. Now we have our application. We have the black, purple, and blue interface here. Now that we have this, what I want to do is I want to go side by side and show you the UI layer as well as the agent architecture and how you can begin to make something like this your own. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put our agent architecture, which is the agent.py on the left-hand side here, and then we're going to have the page. If I open these up side by side, we're going to see a lot of similar pieces that are set between the state of the front end and the back end of our application. The first one is going to be the skill level. And instead of the recipe, let's just call this the workout. We can keep it beginner, intermediate, as well as advanced since they're still all applicable. Now, in terms of the special preferences, instead what I'm going to do within here is I'm going to say I want these to be different types of exercises. Now, the one key piece with this is when you do make a change on the back end, you just have to make sure that you go and reflect that change on the front end as well. So just make sure that when you're updating your backend architecture, that you're following through with those changes to the front end and vice versa. The reason I like to do these side by side is it makes it really easy to make sure that you do have continuity between your front and back end. And there are some nice tricks if you're using something like Windsurf or Cursor. What I can do within here is I can say update these and I can paste in what I had generated on the left-hand side here. I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And there we go. We have it updated on the front end as well. Now, if I just pause there and I update both of these and I show you the application so far, now we have these special preferences here. So we still have to update things like the cooking time, but now instead of it being about recipes, we now have something in the context of a workout. We can just go through and update some of the labels here. I can say workout type. Pretty much the last thing that we have to swap out here is going to be the ingredients. You can also go and take this a step further and swap out things like the variable names and what have you within this as well. Now that we have the visual representation of what we want to update within our application, from there we can go and swap out a handful of different things. If you want to swap out variables, you can go and highlight them and we can say something like workout time and swap out all of those variables. Next, what we're going to go through is the cooking time. Now, the one thing that you can do is if you Command D within VS Code or Cursor or Windsurf, what you'll be able to do is have multiple cursors where you can easily swap things out. If I just say workout time, I can save that out. The next part of this is a core piece of this component here. Everything within here is going to be mapped to these different parameters that we have within this function call or tool call as it's otherwise known. Within here, we have these various things like we have within the UI. We have the skill level, the special preferences, the cooking time, ingredients, and instructions. And within here, you see that it maps to all of these various fields here. Now, just to quickly touch on what a function call is or a tool call, what these are is effectively a way on how you can tell your large language model that you're using what your function does, the parameters that it accepts, the types of those different parameters, as well as what the function and the types that function returns. While it may sound like a lot, they're relatively straightforward once you get the hang of it. Just to walk through this, instead of having instructions geared towards a recipe generation, we can have this instead geared towards a workout plan or whatever that interaction is. This could be any different UI interaction that you want to have your Copilot interact with. It could be within a proprietary application that you have. Maybe you have a list and you want to, with natural language, have it select and email different individuals or whatever it might be. You can do quite a bit with this type of mechanism. Within here, we're going to have our recipe schema, and this is going to be an object, and we're going to have a handful of other properties within that object. This is going to be the skill level of the recipe, but in this case, we can just swap it out to workout. For special preferences, again, we can just swap out all of these instances basically of where it says recipe to workout. Now, one thing I'm not going to demonstrate, but what you could definitely do is you can swap out these different values where there is a reference for this key or variable throughout the application. If you're trying to tidy this up for your particular use case, just make sure you change out the variable names as well as those keys relating to, in this case, what might be something that's specific to what we're mapping towards. Now, once we have that, the key portion of our application and where we actually integrate with the large language model is going to be within our CrewAI flow. If you haven't used them before, it's a similar concept to the LangGraph architecture where you'll have all of these different interconnected nodes, which is sometimes referred to as a cognitive architecture. The way that you can think about flows is you're going to have an entry point for your flow on where that graph starts. And then from where that graph starts, there could be a series of different routes that the language model will take depending on what conditions are met or what particular task it might be. For our flow, it's going to be a relatively simple example. Within this, we're going to be sending a request to a large language model. And in this case, what we're going to say is similar to the other examples. You are a helpful assistant. This is the current state of the workout plan. You can just swap out all of those different values there. Within this, instead of recipes similar to above, we're going to say you are a helpful assistant for creating workouts. This is the current state of the workout plan. And you can modify the workout plan by calling the generate recipe. If you have created or modified the workout plan, just answer in one sentence about what you did. Even though they're coming back in a structure, similar to that stream of text and tokens we get from something like ChatGPT, we can have that structure streaming to our application and map to the UI. Just to demonstrate that streaming effect, if I say, I want a high intensity strength training workout that lasts 30 minutes, if you caught it there, it happened very fast. But what you'll see is it will go through the structure of this form and it will effectively map that schema of all of those different values. In this case, we had the skill level that was inferred. We have the 30 minutes, just like I had instructed. We have the strength as well as the high intensity checked off. And then we have the equipment, the dumbbells, yoga mat, as well as the timer. And then finally, we have the instructions here. Finally, we're just going to be running this model, and then we're going to be setting the response to stream with CopilotKit. And that's the nice thing with CopilotKit is they have these really helpful methods and functions as well as hooks on the front end. You can stream in the different state. And again, there's going to be that continuity of what your agent is doing as well as your front end. The great thing with what they're building is they're really trying to narrow the gap in terms of the complexity that it takes to build out these full stack AI agentic applications, because previously you might see a lot of examples that are maybe in the terminal or things that might have been a bit of a patchwork on the front end in terms of how they were implemented. But with this, there's a standardized format where if you wanted to swap between CrewAI or LangGraph or what have you, what you'll be able to do is to have those rails in between where it can make that process easier. Finally, within here, we're going to be setting our model to OpenAI GPT-4o. Now it is using light LLM. So if you do want to swap this out for another model, you definitely can if you'd like. Just be mindful of swapping out and setting up all of the relevant API keys. Finally, within the model, we're going to be sending in the system prompt like we had specified just above. We're going to be sending in that whole state of all of those different messages. And then finally, we're going to have the tools that we had just defined. In this case, it's just that one tool that's acting as a structured schema for how our application will render those different pieces within the UI. And then from there, we're basically going to be appending the message that we get back from the model to the state array. So we have the context of all of those previous messages as well. Then we just have how we're handling the tools. Tool calls do involve a little bit of parsing in terms of getting those results back from the LLM, because What we'll get back from the LLM is a JSON payload. But once we have those tool call results, as well as those parameters, we have to go through and loop through the different parameters. So depending on what your tool is doing, as well as how many tools you have, you just have to do a little bit of parsing and organizing. And sometimes in the case of if you're using something like an external provider, actually invoking those methods to get some information that you might further pass within the context of your application, or again, within the large language model. What we're doing once we get the tool call result is we're going to be using the results from that tool call to append to our messages. And in this case, it's going to be the recipe that was generated, or again, the workout that was generated. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Obviously, you can build on top of this, but this is just an introductory example on how you can get started with integrating the front end to the back end base of an agent architecture. And like I mentioned, there are a number of different examples within the demo repo. If you have writing use cases or human in the loop use cases, I really encourage you to try these out. These are definitely a strong basis for building out these types of applications. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for this video. If you found this video useful, please comment, share, and subscribe. Otherwise, until the next one.